Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. It is my hope that you can. Let me come on camera. How is everybody doing today?
Good.
Good. Glad to hear that.
How are you?
I am doing fabulous for a Monday of the month. Glad to be back in the country. Had a really great time in Bali last week and the week before. And I'm going to do just a whole training just on that. I have learned a lot in the travels. Everyone can hear me. That's great. So let me share my screen. I guess I can share my screen now. Let's make sure everybody can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. All right. So let's get started because we have a lot to go over in such a short period of time. So welcome to our group setup and management training. We've got a lot to go over in the next 3 days. So welcome for those. Let me know in comments. So if you are new to any of my trainings, you know that I love interaction. So I'd love to get from you all where you are watching from. So if you can put that in the comments, where in the world are you at? And hopefully you have something to take notes and you also have something to drink. I'm drinking water and I am hosting you all from Stockbridge, Georgia. Let me get my chat up so I can see y'all's lovely comments. All right, got some Texas, Florida, Michigan, South Florida, Las Vegas. All right, Pacific Coast. Let me tell you, I have traveled, I think, 4 different time zones, and I'm still, I am still on Indonesia time. So I think you guys are going to get the last wind of me before my next nap. All right, so we've got you all from from East Coast to Pacific Coast, and want to say welcome again. So let's go ahead and get started. Listen, if you are new to one of our Sweet Success workshops, I just kind of want to level set. I usually do this at the beginning of each one of these workshops. Somebody said that there's background noise. Is everyone else hearing me okay? Yeah, perfect. All right. Let me just kind of set the stage about kind of where we are. So if you are new to our Sweet Success workshop, I host these every month. We focus on one area of the travel business every month. So if you are new to a Sweet Success workshop, glad to have you. But this month, we're really talking about groups. That's really what the focus this whole month has been around. Just had a group trip. So I thought it was a really good time for us to talk about groups. And so what I know about groups and the common challenges that many of you all, and as I'm going through this, I would love and encourage you all to let me know in comments, what are some of the challenges that you've had in creating a group or selling a group or just groups in general. And as you guys type these comments, what I will let you know are some of the common challenges that you all have told me or I have faced myself as a travel advisor, which is ineffective marketing and promotions. How many of you guys can relate to the fact that, you put together a trip and you don't sell it? Somebody typed that, accepting payments, what's the best way? That's actually a good one. I didn't put that here, but if ineffective communication, you haven't had a good setup in your business and group setup. If you were anything like me when I first started in this business, I had heard through the grapevine, the internet streets, that groups were everything. And so I just put together a group and I slapped it out there. And I was not ready. I was not ready to sell it, market it. My business wasn't set up properly. As I always tell you, travel advisors, we are in a litigious world. And as a travel advisor, we do take on a lot of risk, both legally and financially. And so it's really important that you are compliant. don't start, taking credit card numbers down on a piece of paper and thinking that you're compliant, right? So there are some compliance issues that you need to have. And really, in this day and age, I actually met an agent a couple months ago, and she was like, yeah, I just still do things old school. I have a manila folder. Don't get me wrong. I love manila folders, but she ran her entire business manual. And it's not that it can't be done, because I know many agents that do it. However, having, just a simple thing as being able to accept credit card payments and be able to automate the payment process is going to make the difference for you in time and also in your money. And then financial losses. I've met a lot of travel advisors that have hosted groups and they've lost money. Either they didn't price the groups right. I just was talking to a friend of mine, and she did a group and she lost about, it was a lot of money, actually, unfortunately. And over a simple thing, by trusting the people that she put together the group, she trusted that they would make the payments, and they didn't, and she was under contract and she lost money. And so she's still paying that credit card. So what we want to do is we want to avoid these common challenges and make sure that not only do you set up the group correctly, not just from a design perspective, but from a profitability perspective, so that you are making money on every group trip that you do. And not only that, but you're selling out your group trips. So let's talk about some ineffective solutions that you may also have in your business. Not having a connected sales funnel. Some people are like, well, what the heck is a sales funnel? We'll talk a little bit about that throughout the course of this week. But your conversation, so just making sure that you can, from the time somebody sees your sales page, or you've introduced the idea of this amazing group trip or the signature trip that you want to sell, making sure that you're not losing that conversation. Poor time management and planning. I would say this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that travel advisors make when they put together groups, is they underestimate the amount of time it's going to take to coordinate the group, and all of those people. I am a certified project manager, PMP. I'm a pimp, and what I remember when I was studying for my exam way back in the day was that the number of people that you have to communicate with infinitely makes the job of managing a project even more complex. So the more people you add to a group, the more complex the communication is, and the more you need to make sure that you streamline that communication so there's not missed expectations and just a poor experience all around. Messages. I cannot tell you the amount of advisors that have told me how much people don't read. And so we all know that our clients don't like to read our messages. They don't listen. They don't hear us the 50,000 times that we say, check your inbox. But it really is upon you is to meet your clients wherever they at. So you need to have multiple ways to get the message to them so that it doesn't get missed. You cannot just single thread your messaging and your communication in this day and age. Everybody's got a phone device in their hand. I actually have, I don't know, I don't have tennis elbow, but I have mobile elbow, which is my phone is always in my hand. So this part of my elbow always hurts. Everybody's in the same situation. So you've got to have multiple ways to communicate with your clients. And email is not the only valid reason to do that, even though we know it's our preferred reason. The complexity of the tools that we have before us, not to even mention the supplier tools. Unfortunately, this week, I'm not going to be really talking about supplier tools because we can't control that, but we absolutely can control our space. So we want to make sure that we minimize the complexity of the tools that we work with inside of our business so that we can make sure that our group trips are seamless. And so with that, I created a framework, and you are now a part of Welcome to My Matrix. You are now a part of this framework by joining us. And so that framework is called Opus. It stands for Operation Pillars of Success. It really was birthed out of all of these issues that I just mentioned, not just in the group space, but really in the travel business space. And so I created the framework. It has 5 pillars: travel requests, the presentation / group, payments and terms, booking, client management, and the results and reviews. And so where you are in the pillar is right here. So we're going to focus this week on the groups space. We've got a lot of great stuff in store for you over the next 3 days. I said 2 days, but 3 days. And so our focus this week is really going to be about how we can enhance not just the creation of your trip, but really the marketing and the promotion of your trip, so that you can have these experiences that make the money and get people out of town in the way that you want to do. All right, who is this workshop for? So if you specialize in fits, fortunately, this ground is not for you. You're going to want to look out for our travel request workshop. I think we just hosted that a couple of months ago. And so we do this on a cycle, so that will be coming up. But this is really for those advisors who want to sell signature group trips. That is what we're going to be focused on this week, talking all about groups. It's not to say that I am a fit hater, because I am not. I love them both. However, our focus is going to be on groups this week. All right, before we get started, I want to let you know that we do have an offer, and many of you probably have already seen that. We do have software that makes this whole process a lot easier, centralizes and consolidates the flow. And so we do have an offer for you all. If you did not see that, I do encourage you to take advantage of this offer, because it won't be here forever. You'll get 3 months of our Travel Pro Suite Premier level, which will include free account sign up. Once you register for it, you will also book an appointment with our onboarding specialist, and they will get your account set up for you. That is going to be a one-on-one call. You're going to get 3 months access of the software for $99. You're also going to get our annual travel planning essentials masterclass. I created a masterclass that really just goes over how to actually create your group roadmap trip for the entire year, usually 18 months. So I give you some really good insight on how to do that. You're also going to get our profitable group travel trip masterclass. That's also a masterclass focused on how to design a group trip for the maximum profit. And then you're also going to get VIP access to this workshop, which happens directly after each day of the workshop. So we go for about 90 minutes in the workshop, and then we start our VIP session right afterwards from 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Listen, you'll also get access to the replay. So all you have to do is go to, and I always should have this ready in the, let me just see if I can quickly just grab the URL of this. I should have had this, but I didn't. Let me just do that really quick and drop it in the chat for all of you all. So if you would like to take advantage of that, just go ahead and click on that there. All right, and then our workshop agenda, we have 3 days planned for you this week. We're going to meet every day from 6 to about 7:30. If we end early, then we'll start VIP right at 7:30. Day 1 is going to be about shifting gears. So if you are focused on fits and you don't do a lot of groups, we're really going to talk about what that shift is required to be successful in the group space. Tomorrow, we have a guest speaker, super excited to have Tamika Carter with us, and she's going to be talking about the 5-step framework for profitable. Hello, did somebody have something? if you're not talking, if you could just go on mute. We're going to be going over the 5-step framework for profitable groups. She's going to be bringing the thunder tomorrow, and that is going to be at 6 o'clock. And then day 3, we're going to end the workshop all around tools conversation. So if you are not techie and technology scares you, day 3 is the day that you're going to want to go, because we're going to be going over not only tools, but my favorite topic is AI, and I've got some cool little bonuses that are going to be delivered. So you're going to want to stick through the entire workshop so that you can get access to those cool AI prompts that I'm going to be giving you access to at the end of the workshop. Every day is 6 p.m. Eastern, same Zoom channel, and then the VIP is on a separate Zoom link. All right, and again, VIP is 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern. All right, so let's get started. Let's jump into shifting gears, transitioning from fit to profitable. I'd like to know in comments, how many of you guys are only doing fits, and this will be your first introduction to groups, or you are a master at groups? Type in the comments, what do you mostly do in your travel business right now? Fits or groups or both? And it's okay if you do one or the other. I just want to get a feel for kind of who is doing what. All right, a lot of boats. We got some fits, a lot of boats. Lovely. Both. Want to transition mostly to groups. Okay, beautiful. Fits. Okay, so this is great. I'm glad. Thank you guys for that. Hold on, let me look everybody. Let me mute you all. All right. Okay, I think I've muted everyone. All right, so let me see if I've missed any things that I prefer to do. Okay. All right, so my goal for you in this training is pretty simple. I have 3 goals that I want to accomplish over the course of today, not to mention the other 2 things. 3 things that we're going to really talk about in today's session. It's going to be really one-on-one. And listen, I get this battle from travel advisors that are like fit versus, group. So we're going to talk about both of them initially, but really where I want you all to walk away from today's session is really, how can you leverage group and fit together? How can there be cohesion by ensuring that you have something on your books right now that represents the group space that you can always be selling into, even if you are focused on fits? I really want to talk about the sort of profitability that exists in the group space and what you can do to really maximize your profits, and then really kind of debunk one of the major misnomers about the ease of selling groups. The problem that I find that most advisors have when it comes to the group space is they've not thought about marketing. So it's not an optional thing. If you want to sell groups, you want to ensure that you have a solid marketing plan. So we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like for your groups, your signature groups, and ensure that you've got a solid marketing strategy in place. All right, so with that, let's go to goal number 1, the reality of sales. So how many of you who want to transition to groups, what's the reason? Are you tired of dealing with the one-off people? Are you trying to make more money? For those that are doing both, like, why did you decide to do groups? Like, what was the number one thing that made you to decide that, hey, I want to start doing groups? More money? That is pretty much the answer that most people give me. It's mo money, mo money, mo money. Somebody wrote that they were tired of getting ghosted. You wanted to focus on one thing, but money is the overwhelming reason why most advisors select groups, right? You think it's easier right? I'm going to tell you what went through my mind back in 2018 when I first, got the wind of groups. When I came into the travel business, I didn't really know about group travel. I was like, okay, I'm going to sell travel and people are going to ask me to book travel. I'm going to sell it. I didn't really know what groups was. And then I found a person out there. Actually, I think one of my first coaching clients mentioned a influencer out there in the space, and she's like, yeah, she's doing groups. And I looked at her site and I was like, that is what I want to do. I want to take large number of people out and make buku money, like, because I'm a numbers person. So I immediately did the numbers. I was like, if I take 20 people out and I, do $3,000, I'm going to make all this money. So I threw together a group trip like that. It was to Seattle, not to Seattle, it was San Francisco, my favorite California place. I'll never forget. I put together this group trip. I did it. I launched it to my girlfriends and nobody bought. I was mad at them. I was like, well, why didn't you buy? Like, y'all said I put together this Facebook group and I was ready to go and nobody bought. Like, I mean, I spent like a lot of time putting together, getting quotes, putting together the group, putting together sales page, all that. How many of you guys have that same story? So I knew that I could make money at doing groups, but when I put it together, nobody bought it. So I was like, well, where's the money at? Like, where's the money? And what I really learned is, yeah, the money is there, but the key is you got to sell it in order to make the money. And so let's talk a little bit about the difference between fits and groups and really some of the things that I don't want you to make as the same mistakes that I made when I started. The first thing is that obviously from a pros consideration, you can create very personalized experiences with fits. You have higher flexibility with the fit because once you design a group, you don't want a lot of flexibility. This is the itinerary. This is where you're going. You may give them a couple of activity options, but this is it, right? You don't give them flexibility. You're going to get direct customer satisfaction, right? The more people you're dealing with, the more opportunity for complaints and people who aren't happy. But when you're dealing with fits, you probably can control that message a lot better. Problem with fits is that it's a lot more effort. It's customized. Unfortunately, you guys are probably not charging for that customization, but I'm going to leave that for a whole nother training here. Low volume, limited growth, because you can only do as many custom fits as you have the ability to do, right? So your ability to scale fits is not as great as you are with your ability to do groups. So let's talk a little bit about why groups have not better, they have different pros and cons, right? Greater volume. If you want to make $30,000, right? I personally have not done this because I don't sell at that volume, but I remember this was 2018, there's a travel advisor I follow, and I was in a group and she posted in the group, she made six figures in her, on a group trip. She took, I don't know, I want to say it was like 50 people on a cruise and whatever. And the thought of 50 people just always makes my stomach turn a little bit, just because the volume of that number of people, I just personally like have anxiety dealing with that many people. But I know people who like to book out group, cruises, and they book out the entire ship, right? But if you are okay with volume of people, you have huge opportunity for income, right? You can handle volume because it's one trip, same itinerary, just on repeat, right? It's scalable. So if you are trying to make six figures per trip, your ability to do that is greater when you're dealing with the group trip. You have efficient operations because you build it once and you deliver it. That's it. Like, you don't have to like go back and figure out what the quote is for this. It's one trip, one operation, same thing that you're just doing over and over. The con, however, I would say, is it requires a significant amount of marketing on your part. And most people don't sign up for that. You sign up for the money, but you don't sign up for the work that it takes to make the money, and the work that it takes to make the money is marketing. Group trips do not sell themselves unless you already have a group of people, hundreds, thousands of people who are already affiliated with you. And unfortunately, many of you don't have that. So when you drop a group trip, you're dropping it to an empty nest of people that don't know you, and you want all this volume. So it requires a stronger marketing game if you want to sell these groups and make the money that you want. Coordination complexity. So like I said, it's not that managing 50 people is difficult. It's just more complex. I prefer smaller groups. I don't prefer to work with larger groups. So that's a personal preference. I was in Dubai last year, and this lady, she had, I don't know, 30 people on her. So we're on the cruise, on the Dow cruise, and she is like running like a chicken with her head cut off, trying to get those 30 people just on the ship and where that she wants to do, right? That's your coordination headache when you deal with groups. I'm making that to be a headache, but if that's what you love, then you've got the ability to do that. You offer, by virtue of creating a group, less customization. You don't want to customize. You want to create a cookie cutter solution that people buy into, and you create that. So that's sort of a bit of the cons associated with groups. However, this week is all about groups. Actually, this whole month we've been talking about groups. So why do they win? High profit potential. You guys said it. The reason why you want to do it is because the money is there and you want a piece of it. So you've got the ability to make a lot of money selling groups if you're ready to market that group and position the group for a win for your audience. It can enable you to have signature business growth. One of the things I'm just going to throw in here as a caveat is that even if you don't do groups, if you can create signature itineraries that you are selling consistently, you can treat that as a group. Let me just give you that little bit of a misnomer. So let's say you want to do a Bali or a Dubai, but you don't want to host a standard group trip in February of this upcoming year. You just want to sell Bali. Create a signature itinerary that you're always selling into, and you can treat it as a group. The pricing is going to be standard. Everything's going to be standard. So you can harness marketing power. So once you standardize a trip, then marketing it becomes so much easier, right? It's very difficult to market custom fits because it's custom, right? That's the reason why it should cost more. So really, groups are awesome as long as you've got the right plan in place. Listen, tip for you is do both. If you love groups, make yourself available for fits, right? Charge accordingly. If you love groups or you love fits and you don't do groups, create at least one group trip a year or a couple in the year and have them available to have people to buy into. Create those two different multiple streams of income inside of your business. One of the things I forgot to mention, if you do have any questions or anything, don't hesitate to just put them in the chat as I go. I do try and monitor the chat as we're going along. All right, so really, misnomer here is there is no right or wrong when it comes to fit or groups. It really is a matter of preference and how you want. So I'm never going to bash fits. I'm never going to say do groups only. There are coaches out there that say they only do groups, don't do fits. The only coaches that do fits. Really, I don't care what you do, just do it right. Like, I don't care which option you choose, just do it right. Make sure you're being strategic around what you're doing. And that's really what this week is about, is creating the right strategy for that. So goal number 2 is, how do you ensure that you are profitable when you do your groups? How many of you guys have done groups and not made any money? Listen, I've been there. Not every group trip idea that I've had has yielded in money for me. I've had a lot of group trips that have bombed on their face, right? I'll use an example. I planned a trip to Spain, Portugal. I didn't market it well. I got one person that signed up. Now, luckily, I didn't lose any money. I refunded our money, but not every group trip that you do is going to be successful. What you've got to be able to do is structure the group trip in a way that you don't lose money up front and that you've maximized your marketing so that you sell. Does that make sense? Like, that's going to be the key. So it's not that every single time you go up to bat, you're going to hit a home run, because there's no such thing as that. But what we want to do is make sure that we have a process in place to see that you be as successful as possible. And so here's really what I know about the group trip market. This is a group I took to Cuba last year. Size does not matter. So if you want to make profit on your groups, it's not that you need to have 30 people, 50 people to make a lot of money. It's really around pricing. You need to ensure that you've priced the trip for the profitability that you want. You've designed the trip in a way that ensures your profitability at the level that you want. So really, what makes a group when you're dealing with a vendor is going to be usually anywhere from as low as 8 if it's a cruise, as minimum if you're dealing with the tour operator. Most tour operators are looking for you to book anywhere from 10 to 15 people on your group. But do you need to have 30, 40, 50 people on your group to make money? The answer is absolutely not. What I do want you to do to, however, focus on is the group type. So the idea of group type really is around what's the purpose of the trip? Like, well, who's it supposed to cater to? What's the experience that you're going to have? Is it an adventure group that you're doing? Is it a discovery? So the trips that we host for advisors are discovery trips. They're learning trips, right? So what is the purpose of your trip and who is it for? When you design a group trip and you don't have those two factors in mind, it makes it very difficult to market them, right? So if you create a group trip, and let's use my first group trip as an example, it was San Francisco. I had some girlfriends that I threw together in a Facebook group, and I was like, the only thing that connected these women was me. And I wasn't strong enough of a connection for them because many of my girlfriends, they all had young children at the time. We all had different lives. There wasn't a strong enough affinity for them to want to take 5 days out of their families' lives to be able to go on this trip, right? So I didn't design a trip really with my ideal audience in mind. So when I say specialize in a target audience, you guys always hear me. If you've listened to any of my trainings or gone to any of my trainings, I always say, if you specialize in people, you can take them anywhere in the world that you want to. So if you have a group of people that you specialize in, creating a group trip around them makes it so much easier to do. So let's talk a little bit about that in comments. What type of group trip do you all have planned on the books or want to plan on the books in the near future? If you're talking about a group trip that you're just putting on the books and it's going out in less than 16 months, that's not going to work. So I'm looking at any group trip that you've got anywhere 12 to 18 months out. Tell me some destinations and what is the purpose of the group. Australia. All right. 2025. Love it. Who's it for? Who's the group trip for? Tokyo and Antigua. Love it. Ghana. History and cultural, love that. Crafting cruise. Ooh, I love the crafting cruise, whoever that was. I got a story about crafting. Bali, Sugar, when are you doing Bali? I'm doing Bali again. It was a lifetime experience. Puerto Vallarta, Gay Festival, love that. Galapagos, I always wonder if I say that correctly. Launch my business, I'd love that as a reason why. Cuba trip, March 2025. It's already launched, but I need to sell some rooms. Okay. So let me just hit why I said 6 months out. So March is, What month are we in? We're about to be 9. So that's 9, 3, that's 6. That's exactly 6 months. The problem with your March is you've got to have payments, no doubt, in January, maybe February. So you don't have a lot of time to promote and give people payment plans. And so marketing, if you walk away, everybody, if you walk away from this lesson, today is you have to have enough marketing lead time for any of your trips. Not to say that you can't sell last minute, but when it comes to planning for your group trips, you've got to account for your final due date, and you've got to give people enough, particularly if you're talking about multiple $1,000 trips. You've got to give people enough lead time for payment plans. All right, so Memorial Day. All right, so you guys definitely have some good ideas in terms of what you want to plan your group trips. Thanks, everybody. And I did say Galapagos, right? So good. I just think that is such a beautiful. They've got like I always digress when you guys type stuff on here, but they've got like nature that's only found on that island, and I think that's just such a major awesome place. I never know how to pronounce this Xcaret. I know that's not how you pronounce it, but a lot of people go into Cuba. Cuba's an amazing place. All right, February. Okay, so great ideas in terms of your group trip. One thing that I'd love for you guys to just be thinking about this, we will have an exercise that will allow you to do this, is who is the person, the ideal person that's going to go on these trips with you or for you or about you? Who are the trips for? That is really the most important thing for you to do now that you've decided the where. Who is it going to be to? Who's it for, right? You need to have a person or a collection of people in mind. So I'm just going to use a couple of examples that you guys did. So someone's doing a wellness retreat in Punta Cana, right? So Siobhan, obviously a wellness retreat for who? Is it for women? Is it for men? Is it for couples? Who's the wellness retreat for? So people are going to Cuba. Well, what are you going to Cuba for? Who are the people that you want to take to Cuba? What's the purpose of, or the reason why your target audience would love this destination? Okay, that's really the key here, is making sure that you understand who the market is for. All right. Went the wrong way. Okay, so let's talk about the opportunity for group trips that exist. We are now 4 years post-pandemic. Can you believe that? Like 4 years. I don't feel like it's 4 years, but it really has been 4 years. It feels like it was just last year. But the reality is there's still pent-up demand for travel. Like, I don't know about you, but I still can't fit all of the trips that I want in a year like I want to. And that's a fact. The suppliers are not as wonderful to us as they were pre-pandemic, because there's still so much demand for travel. So what I say about group trips for you all, if you're new in the space, and I tell you that you should be planning out 12 months to 18 months, you should get on the books a trip for next September, or plus 6 of that would be, I don't do the math. You should have something for next September 2025, which is still a little bit kind of late. Definitely November, December 2025 into 2026, get a group trip on your books, thinking about at the conclusion of this workshop. Like, that's how far in advance, even if it's one. So 2025, late quarter 2025, 2026, you should have at least one group trip that you're looking to design and promote, even if your primary focus is fit. If you're looking to move into the group space, you should then get 4 on your on your books for 2025, 2026. Like, that's how far in advance you should be doing. You should have an inventory of trips that you should do. The demand is there. It's not that people don't want to buy. I'm going to tell you, it could be the destination, but it's certainly not because of demand. So we definitely know that there's still this sort of pent-up demand for travel, why not have these group trips already ready and available when you have people who are ready to travel, an itinerary that's already that they can buy into. I'm going to show you this guy right here. This gentleman right here, he is right. The last guy in this picture was somebody that joined our group trip, another travel advisor. This is just travel advisors on this group trip. Another travel advisor got wind that we were going to Cuba, and she sent him with me. I didn't know this guy. He wasn't a part of my, he wasn't my target. Great time with him. But my point is, by virtue of me having this group trip, a stranger was able to buy into the trip. And so that is what having a group trip on your books will do for you. Create it, make it available, market it on purpose and by accident, and you will get sales, particularly if they're far enough in advance. The idea is group trips, not group travel isn't going anywhere. What I will tell you, though, is the way that we sell group trip, in my opinion, is going to continue to dramatically change over the more technology, the more AI becomes available. Your ability to position your trips to different audiences is just going to increase as the technology becomes more accessible to not only big businesses, but also small businesses, individual business owners like you all. So listen, the future is with groups. Even if you specialize in fit, you need to have at least some sort of signature itineraries or some group trips already on your books. If you don't want to do a lot, just get one on the books, do it for next fourth quarter next year, have it ready and available, and you'll be surprised how many people you'll be able to do once you implement some of the strategies that we're going to talk about this week. All right, I think I got a little screen freeze here. All right, so goal number 3. How many of you guys don't feel like marketing is your jam? Marketing's not your jam. What is the number one thing that you struggle with when it comes to marketing? If you had to summarize all the things about that you don't like about marketing or you think about marketing, what's the number one thing that you struggle with? Somebody wrote creating a campaign. What is even a campaign? Some people are like, what is a campaign? Right? Having a nice website, posting in general, making the time to do it. All right. So time and creativity. I don't want to be a pest. That's a really good one. And so you have to forgive me. My eyes are not as good as they used to be. Let me see if I can make this bigger so I can read. That doesn't help it. Time and creativity, creating cool content, keeping interest high. I love marketing, but I find is not interested on what I post or invite them just because they don't know me and think it's a scam. All right, these are really good. Like I'm gonna have to save this chat because the next time I do this training, I'm gonna grab some of these struggles because these are all really great, valid struggles. And what I will tell you is you're not alone. Like everyone I know who starts with marketing, there's 2 things that advisors tell me that they're not good at. They're not tech savvy and they're not good marketers. And unfortunately, these are 2 things that you have to get good at. You have to get good at marketing because that's your number one job. Selling travel is being able to market it. Designing is your second job, but really, if you want to be successful in this business, you've got to be a good marketer. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like and what that means for you all. And then we're going to talk about the tools to help it be easier for you to do it. But really, I've been teaching marketing for travel advisors for some years now. And what I will tell you now is the easiest time to create marketing content than ever before. Because the steps I used to tell advisors to go do research with ChatGPT and AI, the research is cut in 10 times. Like the amount of content that you can create that's relevant and customizable to your particular group trip, your destination is like no other. But what I do know is not everybody is a prompt engineer like me. There's actually there's a new role type for AI, and it's called the prompt engineer, and that is what I geek off of. So that is some of the bonuses that I'm going to give you guys. If you stick with me on day 3, is give you some prompts that you can use to help with the content creation that's required to market your group trips. Are you guys excited about that? Because I was a prompt writer in the middle of the night all last week, writing some great prompts for you all. So perfect. All right. So let's jump into why it's not optional. Marketing isn't an add-on. It's not something when you decide, you guys have got some amazing group trips that you guys are planning. It's not an afterthought. You can't design the trip, because what I find is a lot of advisors, and do not be ashamed if this is you. I have a lot of advisors that spend a lot of time designing the group trip, right? They're meeting with suppliers, they're getting quotes, they're haggling over pricing, they're deciding on the activities, and you spend a lot of time designing the trips. How many of you guys fall in that category? Like I do. I sometimes get stuck in the back and forth with the suppliers, and so I'll just tell you, and I train on this, and I do this. And that Spain Portugal trip I did a couple of years ago, I spent all this time haggling with the supplier back and forth to different time zone. I just didn't market it. I just didn't put together a really solid marketing plan, and I didn't execute. My heart, I'm going to tell you why. It wasn't because I didn't know how to. It was because I didn't like the 4 hotel hops we were going to make. So my heart wasn't really into it. So that was really my block. But what are you guys finding as some of the blocks that you have when it comes to your marketing? Is it because you don't know how to? Is it because the content overwhelms you? Somebody said time, right? Just making out the time. So the amount of time that you spend designing the trip, you probably should 10x the amount of time that you put into marketing the trip. Does that make sense? And we are usually very imbalanced when it comes to group trips. Is we spend a lot of time up front putting it together, 0 to no time marketing, and we do a couple of posts, and then we say the trip is a failure. Do you guys find that? Because that's certainly, I've fallen victim to that. Now, somebody writes the hardest time is getting the leads right. And that is actually the easiest thing to do, is getting leads, if you do the first thing I said, which is understand what the group is for and who it's for. Getting the leads is the least of your problem. Okay, so if we step back and we sort of divorce ourselves from the excitement of planning, because listen, just as much as I geek out over creating prompts for you all, geeking out over technology, you guys geek out over designing the trip. That's why you spend so much time doing it, is because you guys love designing. You guys love the research. You love putting it together, and you love the thought of what the people who are going to go on it are going to experience. I mean, I know you guys do, because low key, I love doing that too, right? I love sitting behind my computer, doing all of the stuff that makes the magic happen. But the reality is, if you want to sell your group trips, the shift that you have to make is shift hiding behind the computer and getting in front of the people, right? That's really the shift that I want you all to really think about. Is it's not an optional. If you want to sell out your group trips, marketing from a time and money perspective is where you should be spending both your money and your time when it comes to promoting your trip. Nothing, ladies and gentlemen, is free, right? So if you want the money, you're going to have to spend the time and sometimes the money to make the money. And the form that you do that is through marketing. And so, listen, this is beyond personal selling. What is so great about Fit is that you don't have to market. Somebody says you need to, am I fading in? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Okay, perfect. The great thing about Fits is you just have to position your travel business to get travel requests, and then you just wait for people to give their orders, and then you can design these unique trips for them. However, with group trips, you have to be very intentional about the content that's on your sales page, because you don't get the benefit of selling the trip to them in person. Most of the time, that sales happens on the sales page. Most of the time, that sale is happening in the events leading up to you launching the trip, or the promotions that you do talking about the trip. So you don't have a lot of one-on-one interaction with the person who's buying. So that means you've got to be really good at using your mouth, using your fingers for walking. So you have to be able to talk and communicate the value of the trip through video, through events where you talk about the trip, or the written word through email marketing, blogs, post content. Those skills become even more important when it comes to group trips. Now, if you already have an audience of people who already adore you, when you drop that trip, they're probably waiting for you to do that. But if you don't have hundreds, thousands of adoring fans yet, then you've got to grow that audience, right? You've got to create that audience of interested people who know you, who, when they see your offer, they're going to want to buy. And that usually is where I see the biggest hole in travel advisors' marketing plan, is that they create these trips without an audience in mind, without a theme, so to speak, in mind, and they're launching to crickets. And so you don't have anybody to launch to, right? People buy from people they know, like, and trust, right? I know you guys have heard that, but you're launching, you create these trips, you promote these trips on your Facebook page. And unless you spend a lot of time strategically growing your Facebook page with your ideal audience isn't on your Facebook page, right? Like, how many of you guys strategically focus on growing your personal page with your ideal client? Me, right? So you probably have an audience. Do you have all of the people who are on, like, do you have a funnel that gets them from your personal page onto your email list so that that is constantly growing? If you do, then you probably have a pool of people for which that you can promote to. But maybe they've already grown, they've already gone on a trip, and you've got, trip number 2, 3, and 4, and they don't want to go on trip 3 and 4. So that pool of people for our industry has to always be growing. You can't just have a group of, let's say, email list of 500, and you want to have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trips that you host in a year, and think that one list of people is going to go on all 5, 10 of your trips. There's just not enough vacation time for them. So you've got to always be growing your list. You've got to always be growing your community of people that you can drop your trip promotions to. All right. The other thing is that, if you want to drive group sales, you want to make sure that you're driving traffic to your business and to your group offers. That's got to be something that's primary focus to you. So marketing is really important. I cannot stress that enough. It is so super important when it comes to group trips. Promoting and selling, is your marketing game is so very important about that. So here are some strategies that you can take. So the first thing is targeted promotions. And what I mean by targeted promotion is, who's your audience? If we know who your audience is, then we can target them. And then we can put our offers, the offers that get strangers attracted to us, offers that remind them of the fact that you're here and you've got this. You've got to be able to target them. So I think somebody, asked a question who your target audience is for your trip, and somebody said women. Well, what kind of women, right? Somebody said that they're doing a gay festival. They're going to a gay festival. I have to look in the notes to see that, right? That is a target audience, right? That festival, I think it was Punta Cana. I think whoever it was, if you could just confirm, is that what you said? Yeah. So there is not Punta Cana, Puerto Vallarta. So there is a festival in Puerto Vallarta, right? That is a specific group type. It's a specific target audience that can be targeted. So the reason the word target is because we want to be able to clearly identify those people. And I don't mean those because of its their preferences, but the type of person they are. And as long as you can put a box around the type of person that you want to go on your trip, then we can find them. And when I say we, I mean you can find them on social media. You can literally run ads to find a certain type of person based on characteristics of them. So this is where putting a box around people is so important, because that's how you target, you create promotions for them. So if I was doing a Puerto Vallarta and I was creating a group trip for the Puerto Vallarta Gay Festival, right? What I would want to look for are people who are a part of the LGBTQ community, right? I would promote this as an event that they would be interested in, right? I would have all of this, stranger offer, a relationship building type of promotions, and then I would launch my group trip. I would be building a community of LGBT travelers. My entire focus would be on the LGBT community, for which then I would be dropping promotions around this trip and other trips that were relative to them. There are specific travel considerations that LGBT community have, right? So the messaging is super clear when I know who the target audience is. So that is why the why is so important. So promotions around the audience, and then the offer will appeal to the audience. Makes sense? And so you want to build a strong online presence around the target audience, right? So not around the trip, but around the target audience, because it is my assumption that whoever you service, this one trip isn't going to just be for them. You probably want to create other group trips for them, whoever the them is, right? So I would create a strong online presence that gathers this type of person in a way. And so some examples of that: Facebook groups are a great place to gather like people together. YouTube channels around like people are great. Your email list that's segmented so that you know that this is a pool of people that you want to promote to. All of those are great community builders. Having your own community. We, within our software, we have our own, proprietary community that we're able to do. So we can get somebody on our list into our own community that is no longer constrained by social media algorithms. That is also another way. The idea here is build a group trip for a type of person, and then make sure that your only focus in life is growing that type of person that are affiliated with you. Make sense? Leveraging partnerships with people who already have your target audience locked up. So influencers who also have access to your ideal client, those are great partnerships to have. So if I was doing, let's say, I think somebody did a wellness retreat for women. Well, who's got these women that need the wellness retreat? Well, first of all, I'd ask, what type of women are they? What are they struggling with? Why do they need wellness? What's going on in there? Are they mothers? Are they overworked? Are they high executives? What's about these women that I would want? And who's got them locked up? Like, who's in front of them already? And then I would develop a partnership. I would develop a relationship with that influencer or that supplier or that business. And then I would pitch with them how my group trip can service them and figure out a win-win solution for us to partner so that I could get access to their traffic. All right. So this is really the marketing strategies. These are just a few. These are not the only, but these are the ones that will absolutely allow you to move the needle a lot quicker. So if you don't have an audience, leveraging someone else's audience is the way to do that. Now, back in the day before, I've been having Facebook groups now since 2015, and they certainly have changed a lot. Facebook algorithm now is good. You can fight the algorithm if you want, but the reality is that if you want to play in the space, you got to know the space that you're playing with. Same thing with YouTube. If you want to play in the social media space, you need to understand the space and the rules of that space. So you can have access to TikTok people, you can have access to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of these platforms that own the traffic. But if you want to be visible, you need to play the way that those traffic owners play. So if I wanted to have, let's say I was doing the Sport Vallarta Gay Festival, I would create a community for LGBT people that travel. That would be, I'm not saying that would be the name, but whatever the name I would come up with, my goal would be to have LGBT community people inside of the community. And I would let them know that this is a safe place for them to talk about travel, find, unique locations that cater to any concerns that they may have in traveling. I would create a space dedicated. I'd create a YouTube channel dedicated to that space. So when I drop my gay festival, and I don't even know if that's the politically correct term, but if I drop my festival promotion in there, I would do it. And I would tell you that wouldn't be to crickets, because they've been listening to all that I've had to say about travel and how I am an expert in their concerns. And that is the thing that if you're having trouble selling fits or groups is probably missing, is that you don't have an audience of people, and the focus needs to be growing your audience of people. All right. All right. So this is where, and I've already talked a little bit about this, but this is really where if technology is not your jam, the word digital makes you a little sick in your stomach when you think about it, this is the time to embrace it. Because like I said, embracing marketing, it's not an optional thing for you to do. I know a lot of advisors that have built their business on referrals, and that's great. However, you're not going to be able to build a group travel business on referrals alone. If you have a small audience of people that you're going to struggle with filling up. Like if you want 10, 15 people on every single group trip, and you're doing multiple group trips in a year, again, the same individual can't go on every trip. And so again, unless that referral base is large, it's not likely that you'll be able to fill those trips consistently. So your objective is to grow your stranger audience with the type of people that you want to go on your trips. Marketing is the way to do that. Digital. So when it comes to digital marketing, really it's around social media marketing, email marketing, SMS marketing. There are billions of people on the platform. It is likely that your ideal client is on one of many of the multitude of social media platforms in there. Does that mean that you've got to now start doing silly TikTok videos? No, that does not mean that. Does it mean that you've got to now be in front of the camera 100% of the time, talking about your trips? No, because that's not a requirement either. Travel is a very visual type of industry. So although you are the seller of travel, visual representation of the destinations and how you can help people imagine themselves there is really where you're going to see the most bang for your buck. There are, I am loving YouTube. The more and more I crack that nut, and there's this whole idea of having YouTube channels, faceless YouTube channels, where you actually are never on camera, and you are actually either teaching or showcasing. And if I were doing a a YouTube channel around a particular type of audience, and I was talking about one of the playlists I would have would be destinations, go-to destinations for that audience. And then I would just have videos either with me as voiceovers, or I would hire voiceovers and I would talk about those destinations and how my ideal client could see themselves there. And then I would promote my specific. So you don't have to be the face. This is definitely something that I have strayed from over the years, because over the years, people need to know who you are. They need to see and hear you. But if you've got this, trepidation or fear about like being on camera, now there's so many ways to sling that cat. I literally am playing with AI that has cloned my voice and literally have created an avatar of myself. I have not launched it, but I will let you all know when I do. So when you start seeing training video, it'll be the Sundey avatar with Sundey's AI voice that is doing it, because I love video and I love doing training, but the amount of training that I do, it's a little taxing, right? It's a lot to be every place, everywhere. So technology exists that you don't even have to like show up anymore for your video and it still be impactful. I'm just trying to get it all down and find the best tool to do that. That's really, it's pretty cool. AI, like I'm the cat's meow with AI. So here really is, if I'm sort of struggling here with the message that I want to say here, is because it's hard to be everywhere all at one time, right? How many of you guys find that to be very hard to do, right? Am I supposed to be on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, email? Like it's so exhausting. It is exhausting, right? But the reality is that you just need to learn how to leverage one piece of content and get it out to multiple people at different times with one piece of content. So work smarter, not harder. And so leverage tools to help you be more efficient in being in all the channels that you need to be in. Do I advocate, if you're new to social media, you're new to the digital world, should you go out there and try and grow like 5 channels at one time? Absolutely not. I do not advocate that. But what I do advocate is pick a channel first, learn it, be consistent with it, and then grow your channel presence on the different channels. My preference on channels, we started with Facebook. We have expanded to, we've probably been on Facebook and Pinterest about the longest. I just never cracked Instagram, so I'm not your Instagram person, but I am definitely cracking the YouTube bug. So YouTube is my next organic traffic. And then we also SEO our traffic on our website, and we also do blogging. So those are the ways, and those are the channels that we've selected. Twitter, X, I'm not an Xer, not a Twitterer, a tweeter, not a Twitterer or a tweeter, but it is also another amazing platform to do. TikTok is another platform. We just started with TikTok in the last 6 months, and I get a lot of views on TikTok. I don't even do my TikTok channel. I've got a team of people that deliver all of that content, and it is certainly a channel that is getting us visibility. And I don't do silly. Not to say that silly is bad, but I'm not comical. And so we do all education videos, and so it does work. And so what I will tell you is, the problem is not the channel, it's you understanding how to utilize the channel to get the results that you want. So becoming a steward of that is going to be so much more beneficial. Your Facebook personal page, unless you're doing it strategically, isn't going to get you the results that you want, particularly if your ideal client is not there. If your personal page, right? And now they've got this whole idea of a professional personal page, which I think is the cat's meow in Facebook. If you're not growing and creating content that your ideal client will see, and Facebook is very particular about who it will let see your content, then being on Facebook in and of itself isn't going to be effective as well. So again, understanding the platform is critical. Pick the platform, become a steward of that platform, and then create content. And again, I'm going to give you some prompts that are going to help you with the creation of that content. And we want valuable content. So let me tell you the difference between value and non-value. We don't want just pictures of a destination and say book now that says 2,500, book now, the deposit is $299. That's not valuable content. That's not the content that's going to get somebody to sign up for your list. That's not the content that's going to get a stranger to you be wowed into clicking and getting on your email list. That's not value. That's just stuff. Right. And so as advisors, we connect with stuff that's not really valuable to our ideal client. So this is really where the rubber is going to meet the road for you all. When you've got all of these trips that you've got planned or want to do, why does your ideal client care? We know that you care because you want the money, but why does your ideal client need to go on that trip? Why do they need to take time out of their busy schedule, either go with their family or drop their family and go on said trip to get to open up their wallet and pay you? You've got to create strong value proposition that gets them to want to open up their wallet. You've got to create strong connection to them that they would trust you to open up their wallet. Does that make sense? Like, let me know in comments if this is helping you all and if this is connecting with you all. And do you feel like this is a shift that you all are prepared to make in your travel business to start selling your trips? Perfect. Perfect. All right. So marketing is key. Walk away today with knowing that the key to your travel, your group travel success is strong marketing. All right. So here I've got an activity for you. We are going to take 5 minutes. And before we wrap up today's session, I want you all, you guys have already told me what your group trips are. What I want you to do is I want you to tell me the type of trip it really is. So you've told me destinations, right? But what is the trip? What's the trip's purpose? I'm going to give you 5 minutes for you guys to do these 3 things. I want you to tell me what the group trip is. Write it down in your notebook. What's the group trip, right? So if you've got a destination in mind, you've got a location in mind, that's great. But what's the theme that you can tie the group trip around? Who's the trip for? And then I want you to have a brief elevator pitch on why your ideal client should go on that trip. All right, so we are now at 7:12. I am going to start the clock. I don't have music to play. I will find some music, but I'm going to start the clock and I'm going to stop talking. And I want you guys to take the time to do that. And if you have any questions, you can put them in chat and I'll answer them. But your time starts now. feel free to write down, and for those that have already written down their group type and their target audience, we have 2 people who've done that. And what I want to say is I love it. So Ganesha, you already know how I feel about your type and your audience. Ganesha says that she is going to have cancer survivors to celebrate their milestone cancerversary. I don't think I said that right, of being cancer-free with other cancer survivors. I love that niche. I love the idea. And when's your first group trip? Ganesha, we need to connect. Love that. And then someone else typed, I think it's Jenny, 2025. Is that Galentine? I love that. Galentine's cruise for women to make friends, connect, and have fun. Themed parties, crafting projects, and wellness classes are all included. Plus, you can add in excursions like salsa dancing and a private beach club day. Love it. Love it. Galsventine. I'm gonna have to you're gonna need a phonetic spelling of that. I like that, Galsventine. I love that. It's hard to say though. All right, Carrie writes, I designed sea glass adventure packages in Puerto Rico for artists, collectors, and beachcombers, or anyone interested. Historically rich and beautiful glass. I love that, Carrie. I feel like we've talked before.
We have, yeah.
I was like, I feel like, because I remember you last year, and I still think that's a beautiful idea. Did you move? Weren't you moving?
We actually, that's why I'm drinking margaritas tonight. We just sold our house and we're moving October 5th.
Congratulations. I do
Thank
remember your
you.
story, and I remember this because I just think that sea glass idea is just phenomenal.
Thanks.
So hopefully you've got a group trip planned now that you've gotten the heavy lifting of moving out of the way.
Yes, yes. That's my next project now. It's all about the business.
Lovely. All right, that we've got adventure groups. We've got adventure groups exploring unique destinations, women 45 to 65, professional adult children, is discerning travelers who appreciate the finer things in life, want to save time and money, and doing hours of research by joining a well-crafted, comfortable. All right, so this is, I think, Vernell. You have to forgive me because this is really small font and my eyes are not. I need like glasses for my glasses, and I do have them. I have bifocals, but it's still, I need like quadfocals. Anyway, so Vernell, I would definitely work on the ideal client, so your number 2, so your target audience, because again, these professional women that have adult children, the question that I would ask myself, or I would ask you, is, why can't they get themselves out of town? What's preventing them? Why? There's still so many more whys here. So if I'm a professional woman, which I am a professional woman with adult children, why do I want to go on your trip versus doing it myself or going on someone else's group trip? You really want to connect the dots there for them. All right, Daniel, I'm planning an LGBTQ plus investors tool. I like that. To bring to Puerto Vallarta, interested in investing and buying properties so it's sort of an expat component, or put them on an Airbnb and make extra income. Either way, I love it. Get commission on the travel activities, on this sales, and on the sales that the realtors make. This is very, very, so many promotion ideas come to mind, Danielle, for this. So love it. So the who is identified, the what, there's a whole expat there, there's partnerships there. Love it, Danielle. It's great. Hannah says target audiences, homeschool families. Love that. We'll have educational trips that take learning beyond the block. I'd like, you didn't say that, but that's what I read, beyond the book and bringing learning to life. Love even the alliteration there, beyond the book. Also have family issue leisure for homeschool families too. Yes, so love the idea. Target audience is clear. We can find homeschoolers, we can find their families. You know, there's a whole movement of nomad travelers and all of that. So I love the idea. So your first group trip, I don't know if you've already done these trips, Hannah, but love this, and the connection is there for that. Love it. Portia says group trip is for ladies 56 in their 50s on a trip to Bali. Come and celebrate my 56th birthday with me as I explore beauty adventure Bali. Listen, girl, you're going to be a millionaire in Bali. Like nobody, I do not think people talk near enough about how like economical, forget economical, you're a millionaire. $100 is a million, $1.5 million right now. And so let me tell you, I'm not a millionaire yet, but I think Bali is a wonderful place to practice being a millionaire, and you will love it. You will love being a millionaire. It is amazing. So love the idea. All right, I've got a few more minutes to go over some more of these, give some feedback here. Let's see, where did I leave off? You guys are great. Homeschool families, I think we already read that. Women's Travel Book Club. Our first trip is in spring. I really like that. So you got to do Eat, Pray, Love, read that book, and then do an Eat, Pray, Love thing. I just said, just because Bali is on the Eat, Love, Pray thing, but I love that travel book. So that's really cool. I wonder, Tara, that's a really great idea. I am a book connoisseur. I love that. That's really great. Then you could like have a whole book. You could like do affiliates with the books that people buy. You could like get Amazon. Like there's so much potential there as well. And then creating a Facebook group. Like I love it, love it, love it, love it. Luxury, because then you could do local. Like I'm definitely, Tara, loving it because there's so many different facets to that entire idea and funnels that you can create around that. Luxury summer camp at an all-inclusive remote lodge for women who want a 3-day outdoorsy weekend without sacrificing comfort. Love it. Yurts, I think is what they are. That glam life. Love it, Tiffany. I'd like to plan Six Nations rugby travel group. Wow. In London and April. Ooh, I like that, Tiara. Love it. I love stuff built around events because the marketing, you know, you can marry the marketing around the marketing that already happens with those events and festivals. So love that. All right, got a few more minutes. Babes and beaches and brunch, beach and brunch lovers. That is speaking my language, Katisha. Katisha, I love it because there's so much that can be done locally, going into the out of town excursions, 25 to 41 to enjoy sophisticated brunch beachside. You do a bunch of brunches like brunch and learns locally in your local area, and then take them out of town to beachside. Oh, the itinerary. I can see it, Katisha. Love the idea, Katisha. Love it. Did anyone write down step 3? So step 3 is what you're seeing before you, Tiara, which is create an elevator pitch for your travel and your group type and your audience. So that tells people why they should go on your trip. Are you retired or retiring soon? Do you have a flexibility or time to snowbird? So this is more marketing description, but what I am not getting out of this statement, I don't know if it's Sade, is who this trip is. It says retired, but what type of retired people? There's a whole bunch of types of retired. There's an entire generation of people who are about to retire. So what specific type of retired people are you looking for? And what is a snowbird? Will these retired people know what a snowbird is? I don't know what it is, but that doesn't mean anything. So when we use language content, we want to make sure that it's meaningful to the audience. So if retired people are your audience, Do they know what the words are that you're using? We want to use words that are familiar to them, that make sense to them, so that they can raise their hand and say, she's talking to me. All right, I got a couple of minutes and then I'm going to wrap up. But you guys are all on a very good start. Group trip whisked away to Arusha and Tanzania. Target solo travelers looking to meet new people, beginner travelers, adventurous, outdoor, like to travel but don't know where. Okay, so solo traveler is a common term now, but it's too broad. Like, what type of solo traveler? Like, is it women? Is it women, young women, retired women? So to marry Shannon, your idea with the person before that who once retired, so solo retired travelers, right? That's a target audience. So people who are retired, maybe their spouse doesn't want to travel and they want to, so it's a ladies group of retired. I was just talking to a friend of mine and she just went to a trip on Alaska. She joined some women's travel group that went locally. She had a horrible time with the Alaska crew. So she wants to now start her own women's travel group. Because none of her friends want to travel, right? So target audience, bring it down. So solo traveler, what kind of solo travel? So adventure solo traveler. I'd even break it down a little bit more because I talked to a client. I had a client last year and she did Black solo travel, adventure solo travelers, because I think as a community, African American, people are not known to be adventure seekers, right? Women, we got our hair, I got extensions in my hair. I did jump in the pool and it's now ratty, but we got these concerns, right? This is unique to our community. So I would just kind of get it a little bit more limited and narrow it down. We are out of time. So what I want to say is, what I want to leave you all with today is don't stop. Because when it comes to the group space, since marketing is the key to the success of your group trip, this activity is the first and most important activity that you can do around your trip. You've got the idea. You guys can plan and design the trip with your eyes closed. So it's not the trip planning that I'm going to spend a lot of time on. What I'm going to spend time on is you connecting this idea to a person so that they can see themselves on your trip. The better you can do that, the better you're going to find creating the content and then ultimately attracting the people, relating to them, and then selling to them. So the goal here is to define a trip, no doubt, right? Define the trip, but connected to a type of person and a type of experience that this person would be interested in. We have 1 minute. And so just as a sneak peek, tomorrow is 5-step framework to profitable groups. Tamika Carter is so excited that she is going to be joining us, and she's going to be talking about her framework on how to create these group trips for profit and what you need to know. So you're going to want to join us tomorrow, same time, same bat channel. And if you are in VIP, you are going to want to join me in the VIP room in exactly less than 1 minute. I will see you guys tomorrow, and it was great hosting you all today. Have a great evening and see you tomorrow.